Good morning. Welcome to the Rector's Forum in the church. Very excited that you're with us this morning. If you're new to All Saints or visiting, we have a couple ideas for you. We'd love for you to give us your email address on the green sign-in sheets on either of these exits and stop by our welcome table on the lawn. We'd also invite you to stop at our action table this morning. Our action has to do with an incident in Pasadena earlier last week, actually, a police use of force incident that resulted in the death of Reginald Thomas Jr. We're sending letters to the mayor of Pasadena and to our city council members to ask them to conduct an investigation of the incident, not through the sheriff's department, which is what they have decided to do, but through the Office of Independent Review Group. So please stop by our action table and sign that letter. We are so fortunate to have with us this morning Peter Sellars, who I've lost. I just assume he's in here somewhere. There he is. Good. Peter is a director of opera, theater, and film, is renowned worldwide for his innovative treatments of classical material from Western and non-Western traditions, for his commitment to exploring the role of the performing arts in contemporary society, and for his wonderful collaborations with John Adams, including Nixon in China and Dr. Atomic. He has served as artistic director of the Los Angeles Festival, the American National Theater at the Kennedy Center, the Boston Shakespeare Company, and the LH Theater for Children in Denver. Recent projects include directing John Adams' El Niño and Nativity Oratorio at the Theater du Châtelet in Paris, as well as the Los Angeles Philharmonic's production. Handel's Theodora Stravinsky's The Story of a Soldier with the LA Philharmonic, conducted by Esa-Pekka Salonen, a 25-year survey exhibition of the work of American artist Bill Viola, Jean Genet's The Screens, adapted by poet Gloria Alvarez, with a Cornerstone Theater Company and performers from the community of Boyle Heights, and Peony Pavilion, composed by Tan Dunn and featuring renowned Kun opera performer Hua Wenyi. Peter is a professor in the Department of World Arts and Cultures at UCLA and resident curator of the Telluride Film Festival. He's the recipient of a MacArthur Fellowship, which means he's a genius, the Erasmus Prize, the Sundance Institute Risk Takers Award, and the Gish Prize, and is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He has been honored by the American Academy in Rome and Opera News magazine. We know and love him here at All Saints for his deep spirituality. We know that in addition to all of the other accolades, he is a theologian of the first order. We are blessed indeed to have Peter in our All Saints family. He's with us this morning to talk about his latest project with the LA Master Chorale, The Tears of St. Peter. I will let him give you all those details. Please join me in welcoming our great friend and inspiration, Peter Sellars.
So beautiful. Oh my goodness. Good morning, everyone. What a thrill to be here. What a total thrill. And let's just, I just want to begin by expressing massive amount of gratitude for being able to actually live in the state of California, where we take this level of daily beauty for granted, but actually that beauty, let it resonate. Let that beauty, don't take it for granted. Recognize that is what we are born into on earth. That level of beauty is present with every instant that we are breathing. It is here. And we are just surrounded by more beauty than we know what to do with. And as ugly as people try and portray things, and make the world and some of their choices, in fact, the beauty truly wins. There is so much more beauty. And you just have to remind yourself of that on a daily basis and really readjust your focus and not become distracted. And then realize that ugly is not ugly, it's just calling for growth. And so one of the things that we do in theater is we focus on moments of your life that you wish had never happened. It's called tragedy. But actually, tragedy is here for a reason. It's here to deepen our lives and actually extend that space of compassion that we imagine ourselves to have, but actually isn't deep enough at all. And so we need a few things that we didn't want to have happen to take us to the place that we couldn't get to ourselves. And to find a level of commitment that we were unwilling to make. And so the world just committed you to something because it's urgent and you can't walk away. In some cases, because you can't even walk. And then you have to get serious. So it's beautiful to get serious before tragedy hits and to actually be deeply, deeply steeped in the amount of beauty that is surrounding you and the amount of gratitude that that beauty calls for and calls forth. So that when other things hit, you have equilibrium. And you begin to see more deeply through what's coming at you. One of my favorite things in the Buddhist Diamond Sutra is there are 5 eyes that you're invited to realize that you have. And the first eye is the human eye, which is incredible because the human eye can see trees, clouds, people's faces, and see that beauty. Recognize that beauty that's immediate and present. The next eye that you have is the divine eye. And the divine eye is able to see in darkness and through obstacles. What does it mean in life to be able to see not just the brightly illuminated things, but the things that are not illuminated in your own life, in other people's lives? Is to actually get very good at looking into the darkness. Not frightened, but skillful. And really be able to look into the dark spaces with insight. And bring the light of your attention into zones of darkness in your life. And to see through obstacles. Most people just see an obstacle and say, oh, we have to turn back or we have to go another way. What does it mean to realize that your path is not around the obstacle, but actually through it? That is the only path. And so you're not looking at the obstacle just as the object, but you have to be able to see your way clear to what's on the other side of that obstacle. The next eye is the eye that understands that what the Buddhists call emptiness, none of us are just stuck in one identity, but we're ourselves nothing. We become something when we're part of something larger than ourselves. And so that idea that your own identity isn't just about seeing you, it's about seeing everyone else. And you are not just you, you are everyone you ever met. And you're a bunch of people you haven't yet met. And your great-grandmother is speaking through you. And your unborn grandchildren are all speaking through you. They're all there, they're all here, they're all present. And so seeing with the eye that sees the people who are invisible because they've been here before or they've not yet arrived, but you realize we're all living with them. And in many cases, the people who are not visibly present are the most present people in our lives. And then the next eye, which goes even farther with that, which is realizing how interconnected we all are. And if there's something you want in your life, you actually have to first make sure it's in other people's lives. And so it's actually seeing yourself in other people. Seeing everything you're going through in realizing what other people are going through. Because most people, most days, are hiding everything that's going on. all the time. I worked with the great, great actress Colleen Dewhurst before she died. And her big question with the part, she said, she was playing the main actress in Chekhov's Seagull. And she said, "What's she covering? I want to know what she's covering." That's what's going on. Most people, the role is, what are you covering? And what we do in the arts is just gently peel back the covering to say, what's really going on? What are you actually feeling? What are you really going through? And allowing people to feel what they're actually feeling, and then allowing the people around them to share that. And then finally, I'll just get to the last eye, which is the eye that sees the past and the future and the present all at the same time. You realize every moment we're here because of the past. Everything we're doing is creating a future. So all that's happening at every minute. And you're just recognizing how deep time is moving through every second of your life. And it empowers you to take a stand that 200 years from now, people will be happy that someone stood for that. I get to work on the operas of Mozart, for example. Mozart died thinking he was a complete failure. Those operas could not be performed. He died in such despair. A couple hundred years later, we're very happy he wrote them. But I think it's always important not to judge anything we're doing by what the immediate response is at the moment, but actually to have that eye that sees that in 200 years, in 500 years, in 100 years, people will be grateful that we took a stand now, as difficult as that stand was. And when it says in the Bible that your enemies will be as nothing, it's because they will be. All the people who were fighting you will have fallen away because the world shifts and truths are revealed over time in a way that nobody can avoid. I'm telling you about all these eyes because of the work we're doing with the Master Chorale at Disney Hall at the end of October. It's called the Lagrime di San Pietro, the Tears of St. Peter. It's written in 1595, the very end of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was technically over about 20 years earlier, but don't tell Orlando di Lasso, who was the composer with Palestrina, one of the two towering figures of the Renaissance. And he lived a long time, and he outlived the era that he brought into being. And fashion had moved beyond, on past all this high Renaissance, high-toned stuff, and people were into mannerism, something this morning you're just going to have to imagine and trust me on, because we wouldn't know what mannerism is after a period that had integrity. Anyway, just to say the Renaissance composers held themselves to such a high standard of integrity. In Orlando di Lasso's literally thousands of works, there is not one extra note. Everything is so carefully understood. And his music is mostly sacred. He wrote about 300 masses. The last work of his life, The Tears of St. Peter. Madrigals. A madrigal is a group of people singing together, a cappella, no instruments. So the sound and the community is held aloft by human voices and human intention to listen deeply to each other, to harmonize, close harmony, fine-tuned chordal structures. The Tears of St. Peter are what it sounds like. St. Peter, at the end of his life, still not being able to forgive himself for the moment when Jesus was arrested, and instead of stepping forward, he hid. Instead of saying, I'm with this person, he said, oh, I just happen to be standing here. I don't know who that person is. And what it means when you know in your heart that something of deeply wrong is occurring, and you step forward and speak up, or do you hide? Peter, of course, is the impetuous disciple who declared, you are the Christ, powerfully to Jesus when no one else. Jesus kept saying, no, wait, who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? None of the other disciples could do anything but stutter. And Peter said, you're the Christ. And Jesus said, blessed are you for what you see and what you say. And upon this rock, I will build a church. The idea that the person who did speak up, who did have insight, who did have courage, at the crucial moment when police are in the room, suddenly there's no courage, there's no speaking up, and there's no insight. There's fear, there's wanting to conform, and there's sheer self-preservation and nothing else. Jesus, of course, had said to Peter, Peter said, no, I'm going to die for you, I'm going to die for you, I'm going to die for you, I'm giving my life for you. And Peter said, Jesus said, you'll deny me 3 times before the cock crows. So in a really loud sports bar while Jesus is being arrested, all these people say, aren't you with that guy? And Peter said, no, I don't know who that is. And CNN is going on, and 2 football games, and he said, no, I'm with someone else. And then, of course, at the crowing of the cock, Peter went out. One of the most beautiful, beautiful verses in the Bible. He went out, leave that place, and wept bitterly. That weeping is one of the most famous verses in the Bible. And I start with the eyes because the eyes were the key in the Renaissance. Poetry, crucial to Michelangelo, crucial to Petrarch. The poetry is all about the eyes. What do we see? What do we not see? Are we looking? Are we not looking? Are we averting our gaze, or are we looking with insight? Are we seeing the surface, or are we seeing deeply inside the surface? What's behind the surface? What is calling out for healing behind a situation that looks impossible? Where is the point of intervention that is skillful? So Peter is busy denying Jesus, freaked out by all the people around him who keep asking him about his background, his accent. You speak strangely. Wait a minute. Where are you from? And he's panicked. And in the middle of his panic, he looks over, and Jesus is watching him. Jesus has nothing else to think about. He's just being arrested and taken to his execution, but that's a side issue. He's focused on Peter, a beloved disciple. And I think it's one of those powerful things because we all do things we're so not proud of when we think nobody's looking. Human beings are capable of any monstrosity if they think they can get away with it. And if they think there is no one looking. What you forget is every instant of your life, Jesus is looking. Jesus is right there with you, looking, seeing everything, and waiting for you to be who you really are. instead of hiding and running and covering. Step forward in the glory and blaze of your real insight, your deep conviction, and the knowledge of your heart, and speak up and speak out with radiant confidence and glory. Or hide in the sports bar, in the parking lot, ashamed of what you know but you can't act on. So this last work of Orlando de Lasso is 21 madrigals sung by 21 singers, all about one moment in Peter's life where he lacked courage, and the entire rest of his life he could never stop living that moment. And it's 21 songs, about 5 minutes long each, of I should have said something. I should have stepped forward. I should have had courage. I should have seen Jesus' eyes and walked towards him, not turned and walked away. And the eyes are constantly in each of the poems. Jesus looking, and then do you dare return the gaze? What happens when the eyes meet? And there are beautiful sections. This afternoon we're going to stage number 5, which is about the intensity with which a beautiful young woman looks into the mirror. And in fact, the intensity with any one of us looks into the mirror, because you want to just check on that. Oh, wait a minute, hold it. No, the intensity with which you look into the mirror, but you don't look into your heart with the same intensity every morning and check on all that. You're more focused on your hair. What would it be if you spent the same attention that you give to the hair or to your eye makeup to your heart? The same intensity of regard, the same patience, the same kindness, the same wanting it to be better. Orlando contrasts himself as an old man, looking at himself in the mirror, with a beautiful young woman, seeing her beauty, and his inability to see his own beauty as an old man. Again, that eye is so crucial. One of my favorite pieces is the last opera written by Tchaikovsky called Iolanta, and it's about a blind woman. And when a seeing person comes to see her, he says, aren't you upset being blind? You can't see all these things in the world. And she says, no, eyes, you don't understand. Eyes are made for weeping. And that's the other thing that eyes do, is they weep. And that weeping comes from another place of insight. And of course, St. Catherine of Siena is one of the most beautiful writers about the types of tears that people have. And understanding our tears is one of the most important things. There are Middle Eastern traditions, in Iran, for example, of having a small bottle and capturing every one of your tears and wearing that around your neck. So you realize how precious every tear is. And your real path was made with those tears. And those tears are what you want close to your heart every day. And there's a big range of tears. In America, we specialize in a first category of tears, which is a little annoying, which are the tears of self-pity. Those are not particularly spiritual. They're horrific. They're massively indulgent, selfish, annoying, self-absorbed, and embarrassing, and in which you think you're the most important person in the world, and poor you is your main topic. And you blame everyone else for everything. and say, oh, gee, I'm sad, and the world is horrible, and I'm, really. Okay, those tears are pathetic and are known as a giant waste of time. They are the tears of guilt, and guilt is a big waste of time because you're just prolonging the moment where you actually have to make change in your life. I'll jump over 5 categories of tears and just get to the last one. There are a bunch of tears along the way that are, each one is a kind of moral rung. And you'll always have to ask yourself where your tears are coming from. Before we get to tears of joy, that's a pretty special one. I just want to do the tears of repentance. And the tears of repentance are when you're genuinely sorry enough that you actually will never do something again, ever. And you actually will turn around and point your life in a different direction. Those are the tears of change and transformation. Those are the tears of courage. Those are the tears of humility, of surrender, of offering. Those are the tears that we know from so many of the early Christian, Muslim, and Buddhist saints who were murderers, drug dealers, etc., realized how wrong they had been and then devoted the rest of their lives to serving people and turning around everything they had represented before. With depth, with passion, with deep commitment, exactly because the first direction they had gone in was so wrong. That's why you have to really treasure people who went in the wrong direction, because those are the saints. The saints are the drug addicts, are the worst of the worst, are the people who've gone so far down, and for whom it means everything to turn around and start over. And that motivation lasts a lifetime after you've been that low. Those tears are the tears of cleansing. Those are the tears that wash your heart, that actually realize that a human life doesn't need to be thrown away. It needs to be cleansed. It needs to be renewed. No matter how stained, it needs to be cleansed and renewed, not thrown away. And the cleansing agent is those tears, which purify the heart and are the purest water of life. And those tears of St. Peter, this 21 states of crisis for 21 singers, because Orlando de Lasso has written it in 7-part harmony with 3 singers on each part. It's a level of harmonic density unknown in the history of music since. Like, subsequent music, including Messiaen, is truly child's play next to this. The Renaissance took so seriously the depth and intricacy of the moral questions of the human heart. It wrote music of the greatest complexity and poetry of the greatest complexity to say, man is God's most complex and magnificent creation. And we have to honor the complexity of God's creation in a human being. That the infinitude is there. The fineness, the unbelievable refinement and nuance of every moral question in each of our lives. Each of the choices we make where we can say, well, I can, and you explain to yourself why you do something that doesn't feel right. And what does it mean to clean that up and become incredibly crystal clear about your motives? And really be able to listen to the still small voice in your heart. This harmony that Orlando de Lasso writes is so dense, the chords are so shockingly thick and resonant. And he takes you into areas of despair you cannot imagine. And he colors them emotionally. And you go into chords that are dark and lost and adrift in the universe. You feel like Michelangelo at the end. You know, when Michelangelo would forgive himself for nothing as an old man? Lasso is the same. All he can think about is things he cannot allow himself to ever forget. And his unwillingness to give himself a break is terrifying in the intensity of this piece. But the meaning of Renaissance 7-part harmony is that inside these chords of the deepest human darkness, once you have 21 voices and a great master like Orlando de Lasso, out of the darkest, 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 unbearable music, strange, strange, strange light is shining. And again, it's the light that you don't even recognize until you're in a dark place. And then you realize, oh my God, that's a light source. But you didn't know that until it got really dark. And that dark moment is the moment of the transformation. And you're not allowed to have a transformation until you've gone all the way. I know that a little bit from my Chinese sign is the phoenix, and I thought you just had to burn halfway, but actually no. You don't get to burn halfway and say, that's enough, can I come back now? The resurrection only happens when you burn all the way down to ash. All the way down. And then come back. And come back new, and come back full, complete. So this music is all about the light shining out of darkness. And is all about the state of darkness as the state of decreation, recreation, and creation. And reemergence into light. We have 5 minutes left. I know, my God, I'm sorry. I've been raving. But I know we always leave some question time if people have things that they would love to. Oh, my God, there they are. Terry, hello. You're going for the mic basket. Okay, that's serious. All right. Please raise your hands and go for it. Yes, right there, yes.
This is so exciting. I have tickets already.
Oh my God, thank you. Me too.
My God, right over the stage. How much of that, the 21 voices and the mathematics of it, is supported and enlivened by the breath of those 21 singers?
Wow, thank you so much. Bless you, yes. You know, the whole point of breathing is you notice you're actually alive, which is beautiful. And of course, all spiritual traditions are about channeling your breath and realizing again that every breath is precious, right? And when the Buddhists say there are 86,000 gates into spiritual revelation, it's because in one day a human being breathes 86,000 times. Every breath is a chance to renew your thoughts, your feelings, everything in your life. Every breath is the chance to start over. So breath control is one of the major reasons that music has a healing function and is about spiritual mastery. Because once you master your breath, you begin to master all of the other elements of your life. And so this is a breathing exercise second to none. But again, the key thing is it takes 21 people to tell you the thoughts of one person. Because, of course, It's not that one person has a crisis. It's that, as you folks know in your inspired All Saints, it takes the community to hold one person. The thoughts of any one person are echoing across the whole universe. None of us are just alone with our private thoughts. The community is sharing those thoughts. Those thoughts are affecting everyone. And so helping someone in distress and being present and sharing those thoughts so that nobody's carrying anything alone. Because no one actually ever does carry anything alone. Jesus is there. We're all there. So what's very moving about this music is it's 21 people seeing into what one person is trying to hide. Whew. Yes. Oh, right here, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for telling us about this wonderful thing going on down there. And how long will it last?
I think probably about 458 lifetimes. No, it is, the actual music is probably 1 hour and 20 minutes long. We're performing it on a Saturday night and a Sunday night at the end of October. But I have to say, we thought we could rehearse this in an efficient way. We can't. The music is so dense that it takes so long to take it apart, to put it together again. And so what happens is every single little compacted 5-minute section, okay, do the math and multiply that out, 21 voices. What you have to go through to just get that 5 minutes is huge. So in fact, while it's, as the crow flies, 1 hour and 20 minutes, it's lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes in preparation. And once you come, many more lifetimes to go.
Peter, could you take a second and tell people what you told me about how the singers, my words, not yours, sort of cross over into the music rather than, do you know what I mean?
Well, you know, it's one of those things that in these days of budget cuts, everyone says, oh, you can have less rehearsal. But of course, rehearsal is just what we all need for life. It's like, how are you at your best? How are you really in your body? How are you really feeling your voice? How are you really 100% present? You're never 100% present if you're in a rush. Step 1 is slow down. Stop rushing. Focus. Be 100% where you are. Don't be somewhere else. That's called rehearsal. That's slowing human beings down and getting them to be 100% present right now and all focused together. Human achievement is about concentration and listening. In this music, what you're singing is interesting, but means nothing until you're blending with what the other 20 people are singing, which is a life lesson. Because you're so sure that what you have to say is the most important thing, but actually it's rather minor until you're listening closely enough to everyone else in the room that you're making a real contribution. And your contribution constantly has to support others. Your line is there to support everyone else's line. So that sense of living with the image that I also have so much from the Javanese Budoya dancing. It's with 9 women, 9 very beautiful women, and each woman's job is to make the other 8 women the most beautiful women in the world. Your job is there to enhance everyone else in the room. That's the power of it. But if you're worried about yourself, you never get to that place. So what has happened in rehearsal is, of course, this music is so complex. The theological and human and emotional and historical resonances are so thick that if the singers are thinking of that, the performance is inert. You have to get way past all that. You have to internalize all that. That has to be in your body so you know, as the Japanese say, don't think. If you're thinking it's too late, it has to already be in you. It has to flow right through your whole being, which means you have to live in it. Live and move and have your being in what you believe in. Not just at the last minute say, wait a minute, what do I believe in again? You actually have to live and move and breathe deeply in your belief system. And that's what the singers are doing. And if they're still on the outside of it, then you have to claim something you're not feeling. And the whole point is not to make a claim, but to actually move in something that comes deeply from your heart and needs no explanation, because your life will be the proof. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peter Sellars.
Thank you so much.